At what speed should you do a repetition in calisthenics? There are different phases of a repetition. Eccentric, where the muscle lengthens and the nerve do not recruit the muscle as much, and concentric, where the muscle contracts and shortens, and the nerves maximally recruit the muscle. Between them, there might be pauses, like in the bottom or top of a pull-up. However, in this video, this is not going to be taken into consideration, and we will use a general concept of fast or slow reps. A fast rep will be a rep that takes you a second or less, then a second, and a slow rep is a rep that takes you either 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds or more. Both fast and slow reps have their own benefits and trade-offs. Instead of telling you what to do, it is better to know their qualities. That way you're able to choose for yourself and adjust your training accordingly. The tempo you should do is completely tied to the training that you are doing and your intention. Fast reps are great for high rep calisthenics or endurance calisthenics. Once you're good at pull-ups, dips, push-ups, and inverted rows, trying to use a slow tempo is highly inconvenient. If you can do more than 50 reps of push-ups per set and you try to do them slowly, each rep taking you 2 seconds, it is definitely going to take a lot of time. Instead, you could do them fast or even as fast as possible. One of the benefits of fast reps is that it makes the load of the exercise you are doing slightly more challenging. Many people argue that the loads of simple push-ups can be really low, and they are correct. However, when you do them as fast as possible, you can sort of overcome this light load. Strength training requires the maximum recruitment of your muscles. However, what is the difference between explosive strength and standard strength training? For example, if you were to do your 3 rep max of weighted dips against your 3 most explosive reps of bodyweight dips, what is the difference between them? They have more similarities than differences, the major similarity being that you are recruiting your muscles as much as possible. If you were to only measure the amount of torque or strength produced by your muscles in the 3 rep max weighted dips and the 3 most explosive reps, in my opinion, it will be really close. In other words, you can strength train without high lows, so as long as you do them as explosively as you can. For example, the reason why weighted pull-ups have the best carryable and muscle-ups is because they are essentially the same, at least in the pull-up part, and as long as you mainly focus on shoulder extension. The difference is that the strength produced by your muscles in the muscle-up forces the body to go up. Imagine if you were to do a weighted pull-up with a 50% of your body weight added, but once you pull you realize that you didn't add the weight. The consequence is that you will either basically do a muscle-up or a really high pull-up. What does this have to do with the tempo you should use? Explosive reps are always going to be fast reps, and when you connect the dots, fast reps could be considered semi-explosive reps. In other words, by doing the reps with a fast tempo, you might be recruiting more muscle instead of just doing it at a normal or slow pace, and when you combine the high reps, then it is a perfect match. Basically, fast reps make light lows more challenging, and this is especially important when you can easily do more than 30 reps per set, especially at push-ups or inverted rows, which recruit multiple muscles, making the light load even lighter. Another good use of fast reps is avoiding parts of an exercise where the difficulty is too much, which will allow you to have a more consistent training and performance. A good example is the transition part of a muscle-up. The transition heavily involves the triceps, and when you visualize it, once you pull and shoulder extend, and as your torso goes past the bar, it puts the tricep at a range of motion that heavily uses it. By simply doing it fast, you can reduce the amount of time you are in that range of motion, making the exercise easier. Another example is a full front lever raise. The middle is the actual front lever position, which is the hardest part of the movement, where the hips are the farthest away from the shoulder joint, whereas the initial position has no horizontal distance, and the ending position also has almost no distance. If you want to do 8 reps per set, doing the middle range of motion slowly will tire and tax your body heavily, affecting your consistent performance. This is important if you're aiming towards consistent performance. Consistent performance throughout your sets is important because if you want to adapt, then you need to expose your body to that challenge as much as possible. In this case, we can take an example of rep ranges. If you want to reach 8 reps in any exercise and you choose to do 2 reps per set, then it will be difficult to reach 8 reps because you are nowhere near 8 reps. The section will be if you increase the load and become stronger with those 2 reps. After knowing this, then you choose to do 5 reps per set. However, what if in your first set you do 7 reps to absolute failure? Doing this will have an effect on the rest of your 3 sets and make your performance inconsistent throughout them. Maybe you are able to do 5 reps in your second set, but in your third set you are only able to do 3, and the more the reps per set decrease, the farther away you are from the rep you desire of 8 reps. Reaching failure can decrease your performance and make it unstable. In the same way, using a slow tempo in the hardest part of an exercise can also decrease your performance and make it uneven throughout your sets. Reducing the time you expose your body to the most difficult part of some exercises by doing it quickly will allow you to have a more consistent performance. Another similar reason to use fast reps is when the exercise is too difficult. If you're doing a heavy exercise or load and you can only do 2 reps, it is very likely that those reps are fast. Why? Because doing them slowly is physically impossible because you don't dominate the load. If you try doing them slowly, you will maybe only be able to do 1 rep. By doing it fast, you reduce the total amount of time you expose your joints and muscle to the load while still being able to do the amount of reps you desire. Slow reps are good for beginners to polish their form and to feel the exercise. It is not recommended for a beginner to use a fast tempo because it is easy to mess it up. When you do it fast and the exercise is new, you don't have a lot of time to feel the exercise or to be conscious of what you are doing. And it is at those moments when you can do a rep that lacks the range of motion that you wanted, or it might cause you an injury. From a calisthenic endurance standpoint, beginners do not need to do a fast tempo to get a good workout because they are not as good at basic exercises like push-ups, which means that they are still struggling with the load those exercises might give them. 12 reps of dips and pull-ups might be enough for them, and in that case there is no need to use a fast tempo to get the work done quickly or to reach a challenging rep range. In that case, using a slow or a 1.5 second per rep tempo should be enough or good for them. Another use of slow reps is to use them as an intensity technique. If you are forced to use a fast tempo because you are highly efficient in push-ups and you want to get the benefits of slow reps like a greater mind-muscle connection or feeling of the muscle fibers or a greater time under tension, you can easily add them as an intensity technique at the end of your sets. If you reach failure with 50 reps of push-ups, then as you cannot do a fast rep anymore, you can do a rest pause of 15 seconds and do slow reps until failure. You get the convenience of fast tempo and then the slow reps. Slow reps are also good in calisthenics with isolation exercises. When you use your body weight in a push-up, you're not only using only a part of your body weight, but you are also distributing the load with multiple joints and muscles, making the load feel lighter because you are using multiple joints and muscles. However, in isolation exercises with your own body weight, many times the load is excessive. In this case, using a fast tempo is not only more risky for the single joint use, but also not needed because the heaviness means that you're not going to do a lot of reps. Using a slow tempo or a 1.5 second rep is nice for calisthenic isolation exercises. Another use of slow tempo is for injuries. If you have an injury, it will be bad to use a fast tempo even with an insanely light rehab exercise. Simply doing it slowly and taking your time can help you be aware of the range of motion that gives you pain and the ones that make you feel better. Using a fast tempo could quickly re-injure you. If you do endurance calisthenics, high rep calisthenics, or explosive training, or you want to reduce the time you are within the hardest range of motion, or the load is extremely high, you can benefit a lot from fast reps or a fast tempo. If you're a beginner or the load is somewhat challenging, or you want to polish your form, or you use intensity techniques, or you are doing an isolation exercise in calisthenics, you can benefit from a slow tempo. These were the uses of both fast tempo and slow tempo in calisthenics.